What's up YouTube fam, Robbie C here. Today we're gonna go over 10 of the questions I get the most about putting in 10 minutes. The video is gonna be about 11 minutes because I need an intro and outro. Before we dive in, I'm gonna ask the most important question of the day. How you doing today, Ray? You having a good one?
So catch me if I fall.
I see the comments, I see the comments.
Mr. YouTube man, you take way too much time talking about simple topics.
Well, okay, let's answer 10 questions that I get all the time about putting and how we fix them and how we address them. You ready for number one? First question. How do I choose between whether I'm a spin putter or a push putter? Oh, ho, ho. There's pros and cons to both. You have to decide what pro or what con is more important for you. Pros of push putting are that it's a very easy, consistent, repeatable stroke. You also have way shorter comebackers and you allow your miss to be usually high to low. Cons, it's way harder to get distance on a push putt with accuracy, and wind is a whole lot more of a factor. In terms of spin putt, it's way easier to generate power, but it makes shorter putts a wee bit more difficult as you have to build in natural governors to slow things down. Your comebackers are a bit further, but huge pros are that it's easier to get distance on your spin putt, and you're gonna have to change your stroke a whole lot less, and the wind is going to be way less of a factor. Number two, is it okay that I'm a push putter and live in between? Absolutely. I would say that in all of disc golf, maybe 10% of people on both sides of the equation are true purists on one side or the other. What that means is that lots of spin putters are gonna have some form of a push of sort of bringing this disc out and creating this high to low motion to create height for the putt. And as for push putters, very few of them are actually bringing the disc straight down and just actively just throwing it with their arm in this grandma style putt. Lots of them have some form of finger pop or supination adding to it, which creates spin on their push putt. It's not just a dead duck flying through the air. Number three, why am I so good at putting in my backyard, but the moment that I get to the course, I'm absolutely terrible? Well, have you heard about practice? But literally, like I said, I'm in my backyard practicing and then I can't translate it to the course. Well, how are you practicing your backyard? Because that affects everything. You're pretty rarely on the course gonna be standing there with a stack of putters in your hand, firing off 10 at a time, being able to dial in a consistent stroke. You're gonna have breaks in between your throws and you need to simulate that or have pauses while you're practicing your throw. Footfault Master in my comments actually had a really good drill that I wanted to show you guys real fast. Now I'll acknowledge that we're gonna take more time on this question because the next one's kind of fast. What you're doing on a course that you're not traditionally doing during your putting practice is throwing. So throw 1 or 2 shots full power, depending on if you have a lot of par 3s or 4s here on your home course. And then grab your putter, walk over, and try to make a putt. This gives you practice turning your brain off and on between putting brain and throwing brain, because when we're trying to score on the course, we're gonna need both. Number 4, does the putter actually matter? Yes and no. For folks that have a consistent practice putting stroke, your ability to putt, I would say inside of 25 feet to 0 feet, the type of putter you're using isn't really gonna matter. But for lots of you, the reason the putter matters is because if the putter is too deep or too shallow, your fingers and hand are not gonna be able to interact with it the way that you want it to interact, which means that you're not gonna be able to generate power or consistency as much as you'd like, which will affect your putting stroke overall. Number 5, why does it feel like some days I have it and other days my arm is completely foreign to me? Kristen Lott, one of the best disc golfers to ever play on the FPO side of things, recently in the tournament said that basically the entire final round, her arm just felt foreign while she was putting, which is very akin to famous disc golf YouTuber Trevor Staub, who has also said the same thing. And to that, I would say we need to build routines. Putting is a very mental thing once you have built the routines of trusting your arm and knowing what to do. So mentally, when you feel like your arm is just disconnected from you and you have days where you just can't seem to hit the basket if you were standing right next to it, and you have other days where you're on and you're on fire, having a routine that you can lean on to sort of turn your brain off and remove the mental from it and just trust muscle memory is absolutely massive. But how you get there? Well, that's question number 6. Number 6, how often should I be practicing? I have a pretty fantastic putting practice setup because I'm able to transition back and forth between these 2 baskets as often as I can, which makes my putting practice go a lot quicker for me to just straight up get reps into the throw. However, if I didn't have this practice putting set up, I would still be wanting to practice as much as I can. A realistic goal for someone trying to improve, I would say, is 5 days a week. How often? Well, that's gonna be entirely up to you. I think that for a putting practice session, you need to be putting for at least 5 minutes. And if your putt feels really good that day, just make sure that you're grinding and continuing to solidify that routine that we've talked about before. And if things feel off, well, don't try to sit there and auto-correct it at times, especially if you had it the day before. Over tweaking or over fixing our form is exactly how we lose our form rather than trusting the process. If you feel really off, take some time off, come back and let that little kink work its way out of your system. Number 8, do I need to have the same putting putter, same plastics, things like that? Obviously, not everyone in the world is blessed enough to have their own putting plastic, like the birdie blend that we made with Gateway. And I've got, I think it's like 16 putters here, 12 putters here, that are all in the same plastic and weight. That does make my putting practice more effective because it makes it more efficient. However, I think one of the biggest things that we want to be working on is consistency in our form. So we want to be making sure that our hand pattern, our swing motion is doing the exact same thing. Now, the inconsistencies are if I'm using beaded putters versus not beaded putters. That hand feel is going to be a little different and I'm going to get similar swing motions, but the actual consistency of the form is going to feel a little bit off. So the sooner you can get to 10 of the same putter, the better. But I think it's more important to practice with a multitude of putters than it is to not practice because you don't have the 10 putters. The best putters in the world are still going to be the best putters in the world, even if you hand them the putter out of your bag versus the putters that they know. Number 9, what if I don't have practice baskets? How am I supposed to practice? Boy, howdy, is this one of my favorites, and honestly, how I got started before I even had practice baskets. I'm gonna give you 3 options. First, head to a local course. Sit yourself on a basket on a hole, maybe a least popular hole, whatever it may be. Don't go to the most popular course in your area. It's gonna be overcrowded and you're not gonna have time because you're gonna be waiting on carts to pass through. 2, go to Home Depot or Lowe's and buy a $10 shovel. Stick it straight in the ground. You're also gonna get some paint and you're gonna mark a section that is the length of a basket on the pole. And you're just gonna try to hit that pole of the shovel over and over again. 3rd, I don't wanna spend money and I wanna practice. Well, there's an easy solution. Have you met Ted? I'm sorry. Tree. Putt at a tree, putt at a pole. It's gonna be less fun for your putters themselves, but you're gonna be able to once again mark a certain spot. Even on a tree, you can sort of stay between these 2 spots, hit it over and over again. Just like putting on a basket, you're just not gonna get that feedback of the, chains rattling. Finally, number 10. What if I don't find putting practice to be very fun? Well, ladies and gentlemen, I think this is where you are at a crossroads when it comes to this sport or activity. You have to decide whether you want to progress in this game or you want to stay at the level you're at. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. If you're having struggles with the putting, then if you never practice, how is your putting supposed to get better? But honestly, I understand that I'm wired differently than a lot of people, and sitting here practicing this stroke over and over again is a bit of a joy for me because I like being able to make corrections. But you can make it more fun, such as put an obstacle in your way. I'm switching and I'm practicing different putts, and now I'm trying to see, can I get up and over this basket? Whoop, a little too high. Can I make putts being downhill of the basket? Can I make putts from uphill of the basket? Can I make putts from downtown? No. But the more you practice these different feeling putts, the more fun I think it's gonna add to your game. And also, you're gonna find yourself in situations on the course that you actually need that putt. And a bonus one, because I'm not sure if I gave a 7th question or if I just jumped straight from 6 to 8. But what if I feel like I've watched a lot of YouTube videos and I still can't figure out my putt? Well, seek coaching. It is one of my favorite things that I get to do as part of my job is online coaching with people over through foundationdisc.com. If you go, there is a tab that says Get Better. We have lots of videos and this video coaching series that you can totally download and pay, I believe it's $15 to get access to a course. But I also sell putting lessons there. With me virtually, you're going to have a 30-minute session with me where we're gonna work on your putt. You're gonna send me videos of your putt beforehand. We're gonna talk about your grip. We're gonna talk about swing. We're gonna talk about creating the cadence inside of your throw. We're gonna work on it all to help you have better putting on the other side. So if that sounds interesting to you, make sure you head over to foundationdisc.com because they're kind of like the sponsor of today's video. So did we accomplish our goal of 10 tips in 10 minutes? If I had to guess, we're gonna come in at like 13 or 14 on the tips plus the minute outro intro. But I tried, guys. As always, I wanna say thank you so much for watching and I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. And if you have questions and you wanna see a part 2 to this and questions that we didn't answer here, feel free to leave them in the comments below. But for now, we're gonna leave you with the birdie.